Hello, and welcome to another edition of the program called Forever Young. This is the show that celebrates life for those of us who at 50 and above. And it's a program that really talks about how you can get the best out of life in these years. Again, they say 50 is the new 40 and 60 is the new 50 and all those things. So this program's help you take the advantage of that and celebrate that to the best. I'm always delighted to be here on this platform at Hope TV, and I'd like to introduce my host or co-host. I'm always happy because I'm the guy, and I've got two lovely ladies on my side. Hey, okay, rest of you guys out there, eat your heart out, okay? First is Dr. Sharon Mitchell. Welcome, Dr. Mitchell. How are you?
I'm doing great, David. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be part of the platform yet again.
Well, it's a pleasure to always have you here. And of course, the lady who is, we couldn't do the show without her. She brings all kind of vitality and words of wisdom to the show. And I'm delighted to have the beautiful Miss Jean Hendrick. Good afternoon, Jean.
Dr. Mitchell, as always, I'm delighted to share this platform with you both and looking forward, especially to today's topic, eating, which I enjoy doing. Back to you, David.
Well, you talked about it. We've been in this pandemic for 8 months now, and it's been, or even longer, and we've been talking about things that seniors can do to stay active, stay, engaged, because obviously everybody is being affected by this pandemic. And one of the big things that have been coming out has been the COVID 5, 10, or 15, and some of you even got 20. And so we want to address that. But before we get started, Jean always has, before we introduce our guests, Jean always has this pearl that kind of sets the stage for the show and the topic. And Jean, I know you won't disappoint, and you got one for us today, don't you?
David, I do not really have anything with you, but as we begin this another season that we have been blessed with to see Thanksgiving and Christmas, we look forward to so many different foods. We want to eat some that we have not eaten in since the last Christmas or Thanksgiving season. And I'll speak personally to decide to eat this season. Let's be very careful about what we eat, how much we eat, and where we're getting it from. Back to you, Dave.
Those are words of wisdom because of your life experience. Now, you're absolutely right. We're all thinking about the holidays and Thanksgiving. And traditionally during Thanksgiving, we kind of, throw caution to the wind and do whatever and eat whatever, maybe to regret it later, saying that we're going to work it off, walk it off, or whatever. Well, today's guest is going to help us not go down that path. And stay on the straight and narrow, if you will. Our guest today is Dr. Carla Coffey Dunning. She's a registered and licensed dietitian with over 15 years of experience. Her career experiences with nutrition is diverse, it's interesting, with a patient population that ranges from those in nursing homes to inmates to our men and women currently serving military veterans at the Atlanta VA Medical Center. She's also worked in the county jail with behavioral science, dialysis centers at Grady Memorial, the largest trauma center in the metro Atlanta area. She has such great skill sets, which include nutritional counseling, medical nutrition, therapy, and community. Ms. Coffey Dunning has a BS in nutrition and dietetics and master's in gerontology. Got that wrong. Both from Georgia State University. She's a board certified renal dietitian and a personal group exercise trainer for older adults. She's a member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Association. And she's also an exercise enthusiast, having ran the Peachtree Road Race for the past 8 years. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and let's welcome to our platform today, Miss Carla Coffey Dunning, MA.
Hey, how you doing? Good afternoon. It's a great joy to be here.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here. As I stated, we're getting ready to go into the holidays, and of course, we've all been kind of quarantined, either self or wisely, and we need to have some keystones and some touchstones and some things to give us a little guidance, that we don't completely throw caution to the wind this Thanksgiving. So, will you just share first with us, as a registered dietitian, with the audience, what do you actually do?
We design personalized meal plans for the treatment of chronic diseases such as diabetes. You also too for weight loss. So we do a wide range of things as far as the cradle to the grave. So nutrition to a feeding tube, we can design that plan. Also cancer patients. So, I mean, in any hospital setting, you will find nutrition, I think, is going to be the foundation of everything in the treatment of. So, everybody talks about the Corona 15. We can also help you with that. And also, we do a lot with life skills and also health coaching because everything works together.
Well, when I was reading your bio, there's such an extensive and varied audiences of people that you do service. And so I guess the one of the questions that I want to kind of lead off is, you have such a variety. So who might be your main clients? Is there any
Well, right
one
now,
specific?
I mean, every dietitian you will see out there, they have a specific patient population that they want to work with, they have a passion for. And I think my passion, and I put most of my work in, and I got my master's in gerontology, is older adults. I think I really enjoyed this population. And also my slant, it was going to be kidney or renal disease. As we see, we have more diabetics, and people don't really, that is an epidemic across for the African American population that nobody's talking about, but it's a definite need for people of color to go into the medical field, and especially for nutrition, because a lot of people feel because of their genetics they're going to be like this for the majority of their life, but the food really controls your labs, it controls your life. So my slant is basically older adults slash, that's my population, slash I have another specialization will be the kidney realm. So you will see most dietitians specialize now in a certain area, just like doctors, they specialize. Like you have a nephrologist who deal with the kidneys, a cardiologist as with heart disease. So we're specialized now, and that's relatively new because we really don't talk about nutrition in the last 30 years. Now we have really come to the forefront.
Yeah, that's so interesting because one of the things that we always hear here, especially because of schools being closed and children not getting some of their meals, and that's because schools have dietitians who come up with those menus for those children. So it's good to know that someone is focusing on the other population at the other end of the spectrum. I think Jean has something she might want to say with you.
And I want to make this personal as you answer this question. What do you provide for your clients? And then the second part of this question is, how do you prepare the eating and nutrition? And I wish I could use my name as I ask you this, because I'm listening with all ears and fingers.
First, any dietitian will tell you, we first have to start off with personal information. We do a nutritional assessment, and that can choose your height and your weight. And then also, too, some dietitians, we do have access to your medical records due to what you're diagnosed with. And a lot of people at that time will say, if you have diabetes, we'll do a basic nutrition. We do a 24-hour recall. What the 24-hour recall entails is that we see what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks. Truthfully and honestly, and as I've been doing it for so long, nobody's honest, everybody cheats, but anyway, that's another story. So we compose that, and also you can do a calorie count, and then what we do, we try to design a personalized meal plan based on your lifestyle, because everybody's lifestyle is different, ranging from taking care of children, single adults, so working, not working. I mean, you have a lot of factors that focus in on your eating habits, and really what I kind of focus on is portion control. And then that's number one. It really doesn't cost you anything. You always want to buy you some measuring cups. That's number one recommendation off the top that I would recommend.
I'm from a overweight family background, and I've been told, well, you're never going to get small, blah, 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 blah. How true is that?
Well, of course, I hate to say, we always can model our body frame and our body type on our mother and our father. Really, for females, it's going to be like your mother. You're going to kind of model that frame, but that's not true. I mean, I have people in my family ranging from 140 pounds to 440. So you can see that's a choice. But all I can tell you is when you graduated high school at 18, that is really your true weight that you should have a goal for life. So just because as people say big boned it, this is where my family's going to be, that's not true. We can always break that with healthy eating habits, and also we forgot about exercise. Now, I know I'm not going to be 5'5", 125, but you can make it to 140, 150 is realistic.
Interesting.
Wow.
That's good information.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
People do say that. You know, the
I
first
wish
thing it says, I'm big bone. So, Sharon, I know you had something that you wanted to ask our guest.
So what I thought about, Ms. Carla, when you were talking, I said, so I'm going to always be big bone because my mom is big bone. I'm just not going to get away from that, right? To some degree.
Not really. You're not going to get that. You're going to be a trim like 160 that we can hope for that. And we can hope for that, you know, that you can have better eating habits. And also, too, nobody talked about exercise. You know, with the older generations, nobody talked about, okay, let's have some type of actually every day we plan to eat, but we never talk about the exercise piece as the previous generations. So also, too, we talked about stress reduction, sleep. All of this fits into nutrition. So yes, the mother and your family bone strength, you're not gonna leave that, but you can always work with what you have.
Okay, so what advice would you provide for someone who wanted to prepare a comprehensive health and nutrition program?
Okay, first thing that I would do, like I said, we would start with weighing a person. We would do a 24-hour recall. And then 2, we would always do, what do you want to eat for breakfast? And you always have, the first thing I started, how motivated is the person? Because that's key. If you're not motivated, you're not going to follow, and you're not going to follow through, and you're not even going to call me back for a follow-up. So the whole thing is, what is your motivation? You know, people say, well, I want to see my grandkids. I want to live to next year. But really, it starts with the person. Are they really serious about getting this weight off? With, again, key is the diet, and also 2, trying to work with their portion control. If I actually show you what a half a cup looks like, are you actually going to put every day consistently for about 3 weeks to a month? And the answer a lot of times is no. And you just got to say, well, can I still eat? Yes, you can have anything you want, and you just can do it in moderation.
Okay.
So are you saying that? Go ahead. I was going to ask her about that. I was going to ask you about the measuring. You said a half a cup of whatever you eat, just use a half a cup is the basic guideline.
Right, and then we're talking about holiday eating, and I really focus on the starches. That's rice, pasta, we have macaroni and cheese, we got stovetop, the bread crumb, the cornbread dressing.
Yeah.
It's a half a cup. It's not half the plate, it's half a cup.
Oh my.
And so you can have a taste of this, a taste of that, but then you see people's plates. I mean, it's just amazing on that week or that day. I mean, it's all the way up until February, just nonstop eating. And then when people want to come out in the spring, like Bearstein bears, and they want us to fix them, it's like they come out. They're going to be bigger this year because they've been sitting since March. So we're combating a lot of problems. And that's why I said, please, please watch your portion size, especially with the starches. Vegetables, especially dark green leafy vegetables like collard greens, kale, all those things you want to fill up on the holiday Thanksgiving plate.
Okay, thank you.
That's gonna almost make me move around question board. No, but no, it's good. It's good because we are talking about and when we talk about healthy, everybody has some kind of underlying issue. I'm a cancer survivor, so I'm trying to eat better. I check up. I got to bring my glucose down a little bit. Got to deal with the calories, the cholesterol. So I'm walking and trying to do the exercise. But we black folk. And African American holiday
Right.
meals are filled with salty and calorie-rich foods. So how do we still enjoy them while reducing the salt and the calorie intake? I mean, because I know we just talked about the half a cup, but they're not going to have this. They're not going to see the show in time to do that. So, what kind of advice do we have? In generally speaking.
We're talking about cultural dishes, cultural everything. We always have to look at the portion sizes of things. And I know a lot of people, this is greens, and a lot of people gonna do canned greens, but you always want to look at the salt content, and you cannot cook greens. And I know a lot of people doing a lot of canned foods because people have a lot of baskets. You always want to get reduced sodium things, unsalted things, and always you got to watch out for the ham hock, hog maw, fat back, salt pork, bacon drippings. So you can have those things, but I would recommend in moderation. And then you add salt when you prepare these things, and then you have hot sauce, which is an additional salt. So the whole thing to reduce the calorie intake is how you're going to prepare these things. And you always want to look for unsalted or lightly salted canned greens or vegetables. And another thing too, I want to point out, a lot of people are going to do a lot of frozen macaroni and cheese. Is you can always turn here, and always anything in nutrition, you want to look at the nutritional food label. Nutritional food label is going to tell you everything. You want to choose foods no more than 240 milligrams per serving size of sodium. And even this little, I was just looking here, 1 cup of this is 790 milligrams of sodium. 790 milligrams of sodium. The average African American is diagnosed with high blood pressure. I know somebody in their family. Everybody knows somebody has high blood pressure. You only need a half a teaspoon of salt or 1,500 milligrams a day of sodium. Eating 1 cup of this macaroni and cheese is more than enough. It's half the amount of sodium that you need for a day. So please take this seriously. So only thing I can do is anything that you can freshly prepare, try to do it, but try to do everything. If you're doing hog maw, fat back, salt pork, you just have to say, okay, that item is high in sodium already because the meat has salt in it. Because most people use salted meat to cook greens, pigtails, all kind of stuff, because we're here in the South. And then you just want to watch out for it too. And then this is another violator, is cream of mushroom soup. This is just filled with sodium. So you just want to make sure if anything that you can freshly prepare, you can. But I know since the pandemic, a lot of people are just quickly putting together meals. So do the best you can.
It was really good
Oh my
because
goodness.
I look at some of those things. Some of those things are not even allowed in my house. My wife makes her own macaroni and cheese from scratch, etc. And again, I say that only to lead into the fact that people may be doing some more. I think it's a generational thing. There may be some younger generations who may be going for that, but then there's that older generation that's going to take a pinch of this and a pinch of that.
Yeah, that's good to do any type of substitutes like the turkey necks, turkey wings, turkey drumsticks. But you just have to know that they still have some type of salt. But that is a good alternative. And then you can even do stir-fried kale. You don't even have to have any meat because everybody now, the new buzzword in nutrition you're always going to hear is plant-based. So a lot of people, you don't need a lot of seasoning. They're just using garlic, onion, and they just using olive oil basically. And you can even do collard greens like that. But then for the older generation, if you have a meal, they're going to use, they want that traditional things. But you can do alternatives to help make your meal, I guess, with less salt or a little bit healthier with fresh items, fresh collard greens, fresh vegetables, rather than the frozen things.
If you're just tuning in, you're tuning into Forever Young. brought to you by Hope TV from the House of Hope Atlanta. Today we're talking with a great nutritionist, a dietitian who's really helping us, going to help us live better and eat better and hopefully live longer. And that's Ms. Carla Coffey Dunning. She's a registered and licensed dietitian with over 15 years of experience, varied experience throughout the metro Atlanta area. And so if you're just tuning in, that's what we're talking about as we're all in the pandemic and we're getting ready to go to grandma's house, to mom's house, to somebody's house for Thanksgiving. So we wanted to be kind of a safe one. Dr. Mitchell.
So Carla, when you started talking about the portion control, is it really possible for us to have moderation during this holiday when everybody around us is going to be piling up their plate? How do we control ourselves with that kind of group of people with trying to eat all the things that we haven't had all year?
Well, one of the things you have to do in your mind, I always tell people when you start off with Thanksgiving or any holiday, Christmas Day, breakfast, you always want to start off with a walk 30 minutes in the morning. You got to get your mind right. It's just like playing. And then you eat breakfast normally in the morning. And then also, too, you just have to concentrate on the vegetables. Vegetables. Wherever you go to eat Thanksgiving, you always want to concentrate on the vegetables. I know it's going to be hard for our temptation. You can always have a taste. There's nothing wrong with a half a cup or a slice of cake. We run into problems when people are having multiple, going back multiple times. That's where our issue is at Thanksgiving and all these holiday celebrations. You can always have a taste. You can fit everything you want to do in nutrition, just fit it in a half a cup. I mean, I really had to do 4 years of school. I just learned everything is a half a cup. So anything that you can put in this half a cup or a snack bag, you can have it. So, and it's the real deal. It's not anything that's going to be diabetical or anything. And then another thing we didn't talk about is the beverages. A lot of people may not eat, but they're drinkers. They drink lemonade, not the other spirits. But we had to talk about that because I see a lot of people have really, that's where most of the calories are. And then also, too, everywhere I go, everybody has a solo cup. I know most people have a red solo cup at home, but I do the clear solo cup. But the only thing about the solo cup is 20 ounces. So that is a lot of calories being consumed.
Wow.
Carl, may I have another question for you? And this is off the record. No, it's not off the record. But anyway, listen. I'm just going to be honest, okay? I'm number one. Overeat. My philosophy has been, suppose I walk 4 miles prior to dinner and drank a gallon of water. Does that help decrease my intake of calories?
Yes and no. I mean, because it does, because that's a trick. A lot of people use that trick. They drink a lot of water before a big meal. Yes and no, because I'm greedy. Because I don't know, if I'm gonna eat. But that does work. But like I said, if you want to just like training day, if you want to go and walk, like you said, the previous morning, drink water. That's why I say eat breakfast in the morning, and always try to move the Thanksgiving meal up early in the day. You know, most people eat like 5 or 6. You want to move it up to 2 to 3. And I know everybody watch the news. So when you see the 4 o'clock news on, you should have been finished. Everything should have been finished, because you have to understand right now we're combating daylight savings time. So it's dark at 5:30. At 5:30, you ready to go to sleep. I don't care who you are. So you want, if you really want to eat and that's your main thing, you will have it early in the day. Like most people don't eat at 12 o'clock. We won't eat our dinner. We have been trained, throughout the years not to eat our dinner at, noon. But if you like to eat those big, high caloric meals, that's what anybody. I was making a recommendation to move it early in the day instead of so late at night.
That's good advice. My dad used to say, if you eat late and lay down, you're gonna keep it.
You do.
And so that's really some good advice. We're getting ready to closing to wrapping up, but there's so much that we can talk about on this subject, and I'm hoping that we can have you to come back and we can talk about eating and habits outside of the holidays, because the holidays is just one aspect, and it's on us. But I think we've all have adopted or created some bad habits because of this pandemic. You know, some people have just, you know, you have nothing else to do. You don't want to beat your wife and beat your kids and or beat your husband and beat your kids. You don't want to kick the dog, so you just eat. So, you know, it's a nice guilty escapism and a good way to relax and escape. So if we can ask you to come back to talk about nutrition on the other side of Thanksgiving and some other things for health that we can do, I'm extending that invitation for you to do that. And we're going to make this sort of like part 1, and we'll come back with part 2. Can we get that from you, Doc?
That's no problem.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Looking at Forever Young. We've been blessed to have Miss Carla Coffey Dunning with us, who's been trying to share some really good information about, you know, some people live to eat and some people eat to live. And I think you have to do a little bit of both, you know. And so I want to thank her for stopping by Forever Young. For always, it's a pleasure to have the lovely Jean Hendricks with us, as well as the well-versed Dr. Sharon Mitchell, who also works behind the scenes to help get this show together each week with our group of producers. So until the next time we're able to get together and talk about life on the other side of 50, remember, you are forever young. I'm your host, David Linton, and age ain't nothing but a number. We'll see you next week on Forever Young. Thank you so much.
We told them the smear ads were coming, and that's exactly what happened. You would think that Kelly Loeffler might have something good to say about herself if she really wants to represent Georgia. Instead, she's trying to scare people by taking things I've said out of context from over 25 years of being a pastor. But I think Georgians will see her ads for what they are. Don't you? I'm Raphael Warnock, and we approve this message.
Pastoring is my calling, KD. Singing and entertaining is my gift. It's two different things. We're not just one-dimensional. If I did one thing at a time, I would be broke. Wow. And I refuse to be broke. Wow.
A lot of times in the church, and you know, we like to judge people on their appearance,
Sure
or,
we do.
or something we know about them from back in the day or something. And you know, you don't know what I've been through to get to this point in my life and get this praise. You know, just to be where I'm at right now.